we're starting off the call helping Mitch with a problem. He just published to a custom domain and he's getting an error too many redirects message. Dorian, would it help if Mitch was able to show his screen?
Yeah, we can take a look if he's able to share that. I'm not sure. If not, maybe if he can chat the domain, I can also look at the DNS settings for that domain, make sure it's pointing to the right place.
Yeah, so here's the DNS here. And yeah, to your first question, yes, the
looks like we got a route.
The route is set up.
Yeah,
and that is the route page. This is how the DNS is set up. Now, the one thing, or a couple things. The first, when I was originally trying to validate it, all of the proxy status for those builder specific records were, I had to shut those off and I turned them back on. I don't know if that, I actually didn't even try to shut them off again.
Yeah, usually with Cloudflare, because what they do when you set one of these records to be proxied is when we do a DNS lookup to verify those records, for some reason, when that's turned on, they don't return anything. They always just return the parent. So that could be, we can try that really quick because that should be instant anyways.
Yeah. Try that.
And if that still doesn't work, I can step through the whole setup.
Yeah, the other thing that I mentioned in Discord was that I had set up the SSL already through Cloudflare.
Yeah.
And I went through the whole well, holy shit, that's all it took.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm assuming that means that I should not be using that.
Yeah, with Cloudflare, it's weird. I'm not sure why they do that, but like where you do like a DNS lookup for that custom domain or subdomain, I mean, when proxy's on, it just doesn't return those records. And I don't know what the logic is there, but it's unique to Cloudflare, and we've had a lot of users run into that issue.
All righty, well, good to know. I appreciate the help.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, Mitch, one down. Thank you for the easy win today. Okay, so let's see. What do we have next? Okay. Alex Karpinski, which you're actually on the call, so you are not driving today. You had asked a question today about, or I think it was the other day, about simple website navigation on a web page header component. Can you, talk us through
that? Yeah, totally. I was working on this a couple days ago and didn't think I'd make it, so I just wanted to ask the question. But basically, I'm just trying to have simple, like, load a different page per the little button on the top. And I wasn't sure like the best way to set that up. So as I have it right now, like everything actually works. So I'm not necessarily stuck, but it's not published to a domain. So I don't know if that'll change things, but as I have it now, every page is a unique URL route. And then on the click, I have an action that's, if I can open it. Basically running that. Can I not open that up?
Oh, click the,
Sorry, I have my Zoom window there. So it opens that URL with the, like the, I guess the ending there.
Yeah.
And then I've just targeted that page. So is that kind of the best way to do it, or is there?
Yeah, that's how we do it.
I don't know. It just like, it seemed pretty straightforward, but I figured once I actually have a domain and then I'm publishing, like, I guess with subdomains and like,
yeah, it'll work because it's just a relative path. So it'll automatically inherit the subdomain and main domains. That's how we do it now. One thing sometimes I do is I actually specifically use like the link element. The only reason is if the user if the user puts their mouse over that link, it will actually show them the address
they're
of
gonna go.
yeah, but that's just the user preference, not a big deal.
Sure,
same,
yeah.
same setup, it's just different element. But yeah, looks
Okay,
good.
cool. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Is that really, that's it? Alex, the confusion came from how easy it was? Well, that's
Totally.
not
I
usual
was
for
thinking like it was
Builder.
gonna be harder once I had the domain and like actually publish, so.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. But yeah, it'll definitely, it's just a relative path, so it'll work for anything.
Cool.
So yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, cool. All right, so the next question that I had on here was from Etong, who asked, is it generally best practice to store things as cookies rather than variables if you're going to need them at a later point? And if so, in what case would you store a variable on the root page? Could you
Yeah,
talk a little bit about that?
it
Dean?
really depends on the application you're putting together, right? Whatever is being built. Usually if it's a single page app, then going the variable method's probably the easiest. Reason is because once it's set, like initially you'd probably set those like on the root when the page is requested, and then it's persistent there until they close out. Using a cookie has an expiration time. So even though you set it when the page loaded, if that user leaves that session or that page open and then exceeds that expiration date, that cookie is now gone. So you either need to do a check every time you're trying to use the value from that cookie to see if it still exists to reset it. So those are kind of, the different things. So it just depends. I'm pretty sure that user was that one user I helped. He was trying to pass, I think a user ID or something like that through a Sano API. And the reason he needed to use a cookie instead of a variable was because he was logging in the user on the main route, getting that user ID from the auth/me from Xano, setting that cookie, or actually he was setting that user ID into a variable. But then the next action, it was doing a validation if it was successful, which in this case it was because they signed in. But he was opening the second page as a new tab and then trying to use the variable that only exists in the first tab, in the original. So in his scenario, and it's only because he was opening in another tab. If he set that action to just open in the current tab, actually, no, it still wouldn't work because it refreshes. He would actually have to load that in a div or in a container on the current page. So for his setup, it's better to use a cookie. The one thing is he just needs to keep note that that will expire. So if he keeps referencing that, so just make sure that that's handled.
Hey, Dorian, for variables, how long do they persist beyond the session?
No, once you close, once that window's closed, it's gone. So they're persistent while you still have that page open.
Okay. Awesome, Dorian. Thank you. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and actually one third thing to that, there is a third method too. There's some actions to set and get from storage. It's just a local database on the browser. So that's another alternative. So variables, storage, and cookies are the options.
All right. And y'all can probably find that on builder.com/actions and then search for cookie
Or storage or
and
variable.
you'll see the actions pop up. Super. Okay. All righty. So that's all that I had on the list of like pre-asked questions. So does anyone in the call have anything that they want to go through, Jan? Okay.
Yes, I have two issues I'm struggling right now.
Great.
I share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. here it is.
Yeah.
So the first thing, we start with the counter. I posted it in the Discord, and I got one answer already, but actually I'm not sure I could work with this. So what I want to do is the people who are registered should fill out my form and then create a profile with it. So I have create profile. And what I want to do is that I want to have a counter that is counting how many profiles one member creates, so that I can limit this so that basic members have only the chance to create one profile. And after that, I will display none the button that they can create another profile here. And so what I did is that I set a variable. Oh, wait, I set the page binding. I have set a variable here to set the variable how many what the counter counter is right now, the counter for guests from the field. And with this variable, I want then do the math and have set a new variable where I did the math. So I counted one profile to this variable. And then the next step would be that I update with the new variable my field in my data collection, that I have the new count in this. And yeah, is this from my my thoughts, is this correct this way, or how should I do this?
Yeah, so right now, let me see if I understand the setup here. So you're trying to get a count of the users. Do you need to get like a subset of users or just all the users?
No, only for the user. So each user, I can show it here, has the field count guests.
Yeah.
Here's the number, how many profiles this user created or creates.
So it's not the user, it's not the number of users. I think it's the number of records that they created.
Yeah, the number of records for the profiles. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, can we go back to the page and show me the variable again that you're setting after?
The first one or this one?
This one here.
So it looks like it's the guest data collection. That's the number that you're trying to count. How many guests has this user created?
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think, so we do need to throw it in the variable first because we need to get the length. But what we need to do here, let me see. And you want to exclude itself, and that's why you're deducting the one. Is that a minus or is that a plus? I can't tell.
That's a plus here.
It's a plus, so you're adding one.
Yeah, I'm adding one so that I have one more each time user creates another profile.
Gotcha. Okay, so the way I would do this is I would add one more set variable action before this one, where all I'm doing is, and I would use the same name, so it just puts it in the name and you just update itself. What I would do is like if you go ahead and drop a new set variable action.
So copy this one? Oh.
Yeah, you can duplicate that one if you want, and then just it'll put it at the end, so you'll need to drag it above it and then make sure to put a weight between them. And on the first one, let's find it's in the root. We'll keep the same name because we'll just override it itself. But for the value, we need to get this from a data collection. So change that to a data collection. And essentially what we're going to select here is the records that we're trying to count. So I guess
the guest profiles, yeah.
And then just to keep the data simple for the fields, just grab the ID. So I'll minimize the request size. And we need to filter this so that we're only getting the profiles for the user, right? So I'm not sure what the relation ID is.
Okay, so the ID from my current user.
Well, no, it would be
ID.
a different column, right? Like, can you show me the fields again in that collection where you have ID right now? In the drop down on the right.
Here?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Scroll down. What other fields do you have? Because the ID is so it's that one, user ID.
User ID?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then here it'd be the current user and then select ID.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because this will now find all the guest records related to the user that's currently signed in. And basically we're just throwing that array and all we're returning is the ID of these into a variable. And then now go to the second variable. So what this is going to use is, so we're going to basically override the value that we put in the array. So right now in parentheses, you have that count guest. Click in there and we need to change that to be the same name that we used on the first one.
Okay, so new count guest.
Yeah, and let's hit save. Cool. And then, so I'm still not sure what the +1 is. Because you just need the total count, right? Do you need to add one? Or what's the logic for adding one?
Yeah, so
I think
I want to say that it's one more. So he creates one profile, so I want to add one. Oh, maybe I don't need it because.
Yeah, because I think you don't need it because what you're trying to do is you're trying to lock it, or what's the end goal? Like when they hit a certain number of records.
Yeah.
Like are you trying to like disable the create or something like that, or?
So when they created one profile, when they have one record, I want to limit the view so that they can create a second profile. Otherwise, they become a pro member. Then they are allowed to create a second or third more profiles.
Got it. Okay, then we'll keep it simple. You actually won't even need to store anything because you can just get the count in real time. So here for the variable value, change that from math and change it to from variable.
Okay.
And then click in that variable name field and let's select the same name, which is new counts guest. And then click add a path. And we're gonna type in their length. And then once you see it, go ahead and select it. Okay, so what this is doing is, this is just gonna get us the total count of the variable that we set behind it or before it. And that's gonna give us the total. So now that update record, you won't even need that anymore because you don't have to store it because this logic will just get the count in real time. So that one you can just get rid of. And instead,
you can delete it. Or...
Yeah, you can delete it. And instead, what you would do is you would just add a condition action, a simple condition. And all that condition is doing is checking that variable, which is the new counts guess, if it's greater than whatever number you decide. Then you either enable the things or disable the things.
Okay.
So
wait, but so the point is that the thing is why I did the update in the data collection, that I can set on other pages. Okay, the plus should only be visible for persons who have the number 0
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
so
possible?
we can store it if you want. That way you can just pull it from anywhere. So then
Oh.
you can put the update action back. And
Yeah, okay.
after here, you can just do the update from there.
Okay. Okay,
The
so
users. Yeah. And then the first we'll need the ID.
okay,
That
first
knows
ID.
what user it's updating, the values from current users. Let's change that, and it's just ID. And then map a new field. I think it's the counter guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the value will come from that variable now.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. And then you can move that update after the set variable and then make sure there's a weight between them. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So that should now get you the count. It will update the current user with the new count. And then that's it for the create. So now you'll have that value in the users. So wherever you need to implement the logic, you would just do a condition against that field. And then just either use the greater than or equal. And then you just run different flows.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Do you want to check it out, Jan?
Yeah, we can do that.
See if we can-
So I'll create a new one. Test. And leave that blank. Oh no, I can't. I think fills up the image.
John, what language is this?
German.
Is it German? I grew up in
Yeah.
a very small German town here in Texas, and we learned all of our Christmas songs in German.
Oh, right.
And all, all the
Oh, I cannot write here.
holiday stuff.
Something went wrong.
Do we get to hear one?
Right.
Tannenbaum, oh Tannenbaum. That's about it.
Oh, Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
Great song. Okay, now I can create this profile. So here it is.
Yeah, let's go to the data collection for that user. And it should have the count in there now. Maybe.
And no, I have not.
No, it's not there. Let's see. What user was it?
Test, I believe.
It's my name.
Yours, sir. Do this for me. Go back to the preview, and then can you open the developer tools? Yeah, here. And then let's go to the network tab. It's probably hidden, in there. And then let's create a new one.
Okay.
And I want to watch it. And you can turn off at the top there in the debug, you'll see the little phone and tablet icon in blue. They'll turn that off. There you go.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
All right, and in that right side, it's probably going to be the last one. Can you click on the request there that starts with FRK? I want to see what that one is. Go to the headers.
Headers, okay.
And then scroll to the right a little bit. So this is a save. And go to the payload. So the second tab there next to headers. And then expand the recs for me. And then, expand that. So it looks like it sent 10. Does 10 seem correct for this one?
Oh no, 10 is another counter.
Is that a different thing? Okay, then maybe
Yeah.
it's the next one, the one that starts with M8. I'm not sure which one's the
okay.
users. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, expand that one.
Oh, here's one.
Let's confirm if that's the users. Go back to the studio and
Okay.
let's go to the users data collection. And then at the bottom right, when you open that, it should tell us the filter set ID. M8, so it is that one.
M8.
Yeah. And can you do a search for this user, just so we see that one user?
So it's, oh yeah. It's this one. Yeah, who is the image? 0, 0.
Yeah, it's still 0. And go back to the preview. The field ID is JS4, and then go back to the studio. And can you, on that counter column, can you click the 3 dots on the header name? I just want to confirm the field ID.
Where? On the list?
Yeah, right
here,
there.
this one.
Yeah. So that is the column.
Dorian,
Yes.
I think, do we use the user ID for the filter or the ID of the record for filtering? Because I think it needs to be ID, not user ID
We use,
for the update specifically.
I'm not sure. Let's go look. Yeah, let's go take a look at that. Go to the data update here.
Okay.
So it's ID and ID, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Go back to the preview. Let's just confirm that it's writing to the right user. So, oh, interesting. It doesn't even have the ID, or yeah, no, it's not even in there. Oh, do you have another column that you named ID, maybe? Because it's writing to the wrong column. Go back to the studio and click on that on the right side where you have ID lowercase. Can you click in that menu?
This one?
the one above it. That
Okay,
one's fine.
ID.
This one here. No, it's just ID.
No, actually, I only have this ID.
Which is correct because login ID is the email.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not sending ID. What is happening there? Okay, I think this one I might have to like debug it internally to see. Because in the payload, the JSON is sending a GUID and not the actual ID. I'm not sure where it's getting that from. So like that first field, the one that starts with CJ, like that should say ID, not what it says there.
No, this one. This.
Yeah, it should not have a GUID. It should literally say ID.
Okay.
There's something is up. I'm not sure. Do I have access to this project or no?
Yeah, Jan, have you added Dorian as a collaborator on this project?
Accounts do. Here.
Yes, let's add Dorian at builder.com and then I'll make a note here to have us go take a look at that.
Yeah, but that's why it's not writing to that.
Okay.
It's because it's not finding the actual record. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Cool, got it.
Okay, so do you want to check it now or do you check it later? And
I can check it now. It's up to you.
okay.
Guys.
We do, let me see here. Dorian, you're saying you want to double, or you want to check that right now? or do you want to do it right after this call or?
It's up to you guys. I can do it whenever, yeah, whatever makes sense.
Okay, how about we can check it, maybe do like 5 more minutes if it's like something that you think you could look at quickly. If not, let's go on to Brennan to see if we can help Brennan, and we can always jump back if we have extra time. But either way, Jan, we will definitely look at this, whether on the call with everyone right now or after. to see
Yeah,
if we can
perfect.
figure it out.
Okay. I had a second issue as well, so I'm not sure if I have
Yeah,
time
actually,
now,
why don't we
or-
do that? Can we look at whatever this one is later, and then let's see if we can do this one and then Brennan. So yeah, Jan, go ahead.
Okay, so the second one is my chat. I did progress, but now I struggle with the data update again.
Okay.
So I have I can show it here in the front end. So this is my chat. There are all my chat rooms, and that's the chat. And this chat is sorted by the last activity.
Okay.
But my last activity field will not update it when I create a new message. So that the sort is not working, or the update is not working for the sort.
Yeah. Do you want to show me in that row? Can you click on that date?
Okay, I can show you where I update the last activity. So I create a message, and in this I have create a record, and then oh no, is it here? Element.
And for the
Oh
updating,
no,
are you using a data listener, or are you doing like your own
I
updating?
tried to do the data listener. So we are here, page binding. Here's the last activity sort.
So is it just the value that's not updating in the row?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
yes.
So go to the row and then click on that date there. So that page you were,
Okay, here.
yeah, and
This
select
one?
the date, and yeah, and then show me the binding. Just want to see where that's coming from.
Okay, so binding.
Because that one's just using the regular binding, it looks like, or you're using a date format.
I use a date format, yes.
Got it. And on the left side, go to elements.
On the left.
Yeah, and then go to the page body. Yeah, I think you're just missing the listener here on the row.
Okay, yeah, maybe I have this on the.
So there is one here.
Oh yeah, this one.
Does
So
it need to be running page binding though?
depends on what it is. So what is this listener here doing? So it looks like this is listening on.
So when I add a new message,
Mhm.
and this listener should refresh the last activity. And this one is here, set the new message time. I add the new message time and update my new message time to last activity. And the new message time, I think I have it in this one, create set variable new message time.
Yeah, so you're throwing that on the root. And then, so go back to the row.
Mhm.
I think all you need to do, but let me confirm the binding again. So go to the flows and then go to the page load. I just want to step through it all. Okay, so then go to the page binding. All right, so this one is setting the name. The second action is setting the description, it looks like. The third one is setting the image. Then it's running the binding. But that last one that says date format, is that the one that's setting the value into that date? field or text box?
No, it's just formatting the date format.
Got it.
From-
Got it. Okay. So the
from
only
this
thing
one.
that's setting that is the binding then. So that date has data binding. Like if you select that date element,
Okay.
and then yeah, it does. So click on the data tab on the right. I just want to confirm. Okay, so it has that, and then it's running through that. Okay, so yeah, so then all we need to do is on the left side, go to page body, and we just need to add another listener.
Okay.
Because right now nothing's running through the page load. So either we need to change the action group that's running on this existing one to just be the page binding, or we can add a second one. But we can try it like this. Yeah, but the limiter is not going to be on add and remove, because when you're on the row, you're already on the record. You're not adding a record or removing one. So the limiter needs to be on a specific field. So click in there. So it'd be on a certain field. And the field is the last, that field we're listening for. Oh, is that a different collection?
Yeah.
Where are you storing the last activity?
The last activity in the chat room.
So it
Data
is on
collection.
that one.
And this is the chat message.
Can we go to that data collection? Because it's not showing all the fields. I don't know why.
From chat room?
So this is where you're storing the last activity?
Yes, here.
I see. Then you have the wrong collection set, because over there you have it set to chat message instead of chat room.
So here.
Yeah, that should be chat room. And then the field now should be the last activity. So this will now listen when there's a change for the record you're on. And in that specific field, it's going to run through the page binding, which your page binding would first set the new updated value, which will then run through the action date format. So this should do it. Can we try it? You'll probably need a refresh.
Okay.
When there's changes to the listeners, you usually have to refresh. No, didn't run through it.
Yeah.
Go back to the studio. And then click on the date label again. And then go to so this chat room here.
Where should I go?
No, it's correct. I just wanted to confirm that binding is from that.
I think the problem I saw is that the update from the data collection is not working as well. Oh, again. Because what I saw is that here
like it didn't
it's
save.
not updated. Oh, no message. Oh, chat rooms are from me yesterday. Or
okay, so let's go look at the update action.
So it's here. Flow. Oh no, why do I update? I set the variable here.
Oh, but you're when are you saving that?
I do. Here's the update. Chat room plus activity with the variable.
Yeah, so the way I would do this is I would do the update to the last activity on this page here when they submit the message. So you're not
this
bouncing.
One.
Yeah.
So run on page then? Oh.
No, just when they create one. So when they create a message.
Create a message.
Yeah,
and then add update or
What's the create is a different record, or? Yeah, that's the message. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
message.
Here I would do another update for the current record that we're in. And then in here, I would do the update to the last activity.
Okay, the chat room update.
Mhm.
And
then I'm not sure what the relation is, but whatever ties the chat room to the message.
the ID, and in the message I have the chat
ID.
the room ID.
Got it. Yeah. So then that would just be from variable. And then we'll need to go to the data collection and grab the ID of that.
Which data collection, Dorian?
The chat message one.
So not variable, so data collection. Oh, what? And here
we can pull it from there too. This will
room
work.
ID.
Yeah, and then you'll
Yeah.
need to get a number of fields is 1, data to return is comma separated.
Sorry, I think what's the next setting, Dorian?
Yeah.
Well, we'll need to do the filter.
Filter.
For the relationship, whatever ties a room to a message.
The room to message.
But I think it's probably easier to just get it from a variable because we're already on the record, so we already have the content there. That's how I was gonna use a variable instead.
So
I
from
think-
this variable?
Sorry,
No.
I think when you
So-
said from the data collection, he changed the input arguments, but I think you need to explicitly tell him to go
Yeah.
grab the ID from the actual data collection.
Yeah. So click there and change that to be from variable.
Okay. Yes.
And then on the left side, we'll come back to this. Click on data collections and let's go to the chat room.
Okay.
Or sorry, not the chat room.
The room.
The mess. Oh no, we are on the room. I'm sorry, it is chat room. I'm
Okay.
getting confused.
Chat
And then
room.
here we should have the ID of the scroll to the right. What other fields do we have? So we just have the name.
Yeah, this is the ID from
So
the
what's
chat room.
what's the question is, I think the question is, how are you tying,
Yeah.
how are you tying the chat room to the message to the chat room, Dorian?
Yeah, exactly.
By
How-
this ID. The chat room ID is this ID. And in the message, I have the room ID. And this is the other ID.
And where is the last modify is in the room or right?
Yeah, here's the last activity.
Got it. Okay, so I think we have it. Can you show me how you open one of the rooms? Because I'm pretty sure it's probably past. So like when you click on that grid row on the left there where it said the room name.
Okay, I have on my profile page is a button with a start chat, and there is create a chat room. And this is the record for a chat room. This person, and the room name.
Yeah.
And the type.
Yeah. Can you go back to the grid row? Like when you click on an existing one, what happens? Like when you open the details of the chat room. So the page below this one, the actual row.
This one? No, this one.
That one. Yeah.
Okay.
So what does this action do? So when you open the room.
When I click this one?
Yeah. So on the right side, you see you have that click action. Go into that one.
Yeah. Open the room. I put into
okay,
container.
so this is perfect. So see here where you're under where it says record content, you're actually pushing all the fields of that record. And that's great, because then on that form, we already have everything for the record. So we can just filter directly.
Okay.
So then all we need to do is we just need to update the record directly. So yeah, go here and then let's go back to the update.
The create.
Yeah, and then let's
here's the
go to
update.
this one. Yeah, so the ID is current and it's just ID, lowercase, because we pass it in the open, and then map a new field. And then this field is the last modify or last activity. I mean.
Yeah.
And then in here, grab the value where you have that. What are you setting in the variable up above?
This one is new message sign
Gotcha. Yeah. So grab that and then paste that in here.
from variable.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So this should now do the update, which will trigger a record update, which the data listeners already set up to listen for that.
Yeah.
So I think this should do it now. So let's go to the preview and let's do a refresh.
Okay.
And let's try it again and see if we get that working. Okay, so it did try it, but there's something breaking it on that row page. So let's go back to the studio and let's go look at, so go to the row, the room name row. Yeah, go here and go to the flows and let's go look at the page binding again. And I think we just need a wait between the run bindings and the date format. Because the run binding is setting the resonance or the listener that changed the value. But because there's no wait, it's probably happening at the same time. So then the date format's grabbing the value while it's still empty.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So let's try that. And let's see.
Okay.
Now something is breaking it. Let's go back to the studio and then show me what's in the date format. The action on the right under the run bindings.
Okay.
So this gets it from there. Let's do this. Let's see if this is what's breaking it. Hit the little X on this one, and then let's remove the date format for now. We can add it again. And then let's try it like this. I want to see if that's even what's causing it. And then let's refresh and try it again. Yeah, and that's because it's not formatted right now. So yeah, open that one and then let's see if that changes. No, so it's not the format. Okay, so let's go back and let's put the format back. So that's not what was breaking it. Why wouldn't that work? Hit the little X on the right panel so we can get back to the element, and then go to the data tab on the top right for this date.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is getting it from there. It's getting the field. Yeah, I think this one I'll have to step into it again and see, because I'm not sure, but the setup is correct and you can see it is trying to update it. We just need to figure out why it's removing the value.
So is it empty or is it?
Or maybe it's empty. Can we confirm the value in the data collection? Like maybe the save is not working and it's just clearing it out.
Yeah, it's clearing out.
It's clearing it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need to do toString when we do the update. So that's probably all it is. Okay.
Yeah,
so let's go to that action create
message.
And then where we do the update. So where we're getting that value out of path. Yep. And then just type toString and it should be in that list.
Right.
toString further down, it'll start with a T, that last one. Yeah. And then let's go test it.
Okay.
So maybe it's not, it needs it as a string or something, I'm not sure. And then try it on one of those. Yeah, it's fine. No, still not.
Okay, Dee, I really want to answer Brennan's call and we're almost at time. I'll add that to our list to
Yeah.
look at as well.
Yeah, okay.
So just to make sure that I've got it right. This is going to be the time is not updating on the chat row.
Yeah, the chat room data collection. It's close. We just need to see why the value is not being saved properly.
Yeah.
And that's probably something like that. The next thing we will try is to do toString1 to force it to put it in the string, but we can see. I can check it later and I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool.
We'll check, Jan, and then Dorian will let you know what he finds and if he's changed anything. That way we can all learn from it. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very
Jan.
much so far.
Yeah, we'll get it sorted out.
I'm
Brennan,
learning a lot.
yeah, we are too. Brennan, if you're still on, I know that you had a question you weren't quite sure how to word. Do you want to try and tackle it together and just tell us kind of what you're running into?
Sure. Can you hear me all right? I know last time I had robotic voice.
You sound human at the moment.
Okay.
I can't be too sure, but
So I don't have anything to show you. It's not a specific project I'm working on. I'm trying to figure out how to think about structuring data, and I watched the videos Mark just put out about all the different ways you can create relational databases. So I'm trying to think about like larger SaaS products like Cycles that Mark built, or Builder, or some sort of CRM, right? Where you're sort of onboarding organizations, and maybe these organizations have like multiple projects underneath them, right? So each of those projects can start generating like mass amounts of data, right? And I'm wondering, do organizations like would their data be like intermixed with each other's in a single data collection? Or how do you think about structuring something on that scale, where you might have multiple organizations, or a user might have multiple projects? Does all that data between projects or organizations kind of mingle together in one collection?
Gotcha. Yeah, so at the moment, yes, they will all be stored. Like, for example, if you create in the studio a data collection, let's just call it projects. And this would be the level underneath another top level collection, which are your organizations, right? But so we have this projects data collection. So right now, the way it stores that is it's going to store all those records in the same container. It's a table container in Azure. Right now, there's no ability for you to create like dynamically on the front end, like dynamically create data collections. So like you could technically go into the studio and create a new data collection, but then you would have to always keep up with the config, the setup to point to those new ones if it's this specific organization, etc. But that is something that we have plans to expanding to allow you guys to implement like the ability to create your own data collections. Because when the data collection is created, in the backend, it actually creates a container and they're separate. So right now you couldn't, it would all be stored together. You can use the user restrictions to just server side restrict those things. That way nobody gets access to each other's data. But in the backend, it is all stored in that one container.
Is that how you might go about using claims?
For claims, what do you mean? Or
If you're
No,
talking about
Brennan.
user roles.
It's not necessary. I think what you're talking about would be handled by restrictions. So basically all of the data would live in the same spot for all the customers if it's the same table, but you would use user restrictions to control who can access that data. So you would basically say, only people who work at this company are allowed to access this data. And so no matter if anyone tried to hack it or whatever, only people who are created or related to that company would be able to, that data would be able to be served to them. So it's that in itself is very secure, like user restrictions are very secure, but I do know that sometimes there are clients who specifically want their data to be hosted externally or isolated or something like that. And that's what Dorian is saying we don't do right now. And we do, that's like in the roadmap, but it really depends on, not everyone needs that. If you have a very specific client who needs something like that, that's one thing. But if it's just a matter of like data being served securely to only the people that it should be served to or visible or accessible to, you can definitely do that in a secure way with the restrictions. So you would have, like in cycles, we have the list of users, right? Which is whoever goes in, they sign up, they create an account and they create a company profile, right? And then they create users for that company profile. So for example, we've got Builder Cycles account and Dorian can access that data. I can access that data. Mark can access that data. Like we're users within that. And I also have other Cycles accounts in the same way, but that data isn't intermixed. Like I have to, on the UI side, I have to go select a different company in order to access the data from it. So you can, I think, I don't know if that confused you more or not, but do you have like does that help or is there a specific use case that you're trying to think of?
No, there's no specific use case, but that helps. So let me ask this then, kind of going off of what you said, in cycles, would you say that the data that you have for one company versus another company, right now, the way cycles is set up, all those companies are, the data is inside of one container?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
That's
Okay.
only accessible to the actual creators of that Builder project.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you can, so you would be able to see that if you create the right relationship, like in the user's data collection, you'd be able to see or display this user's associated with these companies and et cetera.
And you can reference that setup if you create a project using the SaaS starter.
That's right. That's what.
That also has a similar setup. And you can see how it uses, I think over there, the parent level is called companies. But you'll see how the company's data collection has the user restrictions set up. And the way those work is when you create a company record, you actually create a second record called a record association, which you can also access those records through the data collections. And that record association has a tie between the company record ID and the user login ID, or the user ID, sorry, not the login ID, but the actual ID. And then based on the permissions that you set when you created that record association determines, what access that user has. Because sometimes you might add, like, let's just say teammates to that organization where they're view only. So you can control those settings through the record association. Or you can do things where they can create, but they can't delete, so you can set settings like that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So Brennan, create a new project using the SaaS starter template,
Mhm.
then go into the data collections for companies.
Okay.
And then if you go into the collection settings,
Mhm.
then you'll see that you have a child collection, team members' child collection is added to that company's child collection as a child.
Mhm.
And then it's restricted by the person who created it, I believe, or
Okay.
Depending on the setup. Yeah, you can
you
do.
can see, you'll see it there. It actually shows you, here's the child collection, here's the setup, and that's what you would want to replicate.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Mhm,
no
mhm.
problem.
Yeah, how to structure data is so tricky, and that's one of the things that no code doesn't do very well, because it's an actual concept that you have to learn.
Mhm.
It's a development concept on how to structure that properly. So, and it's different for different projects, but yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to time. Thank you everyone for joining today. Jan, we will take a look at your project and see if we can get those two things figured out. And then we'll chat in the Discord for everyone to see what the solution was. And then I think it's 4:37. Fraser and Jeroen, I'm probably going to reach out to you guys to see if you can make next office hours and maybe give us a quick tour of what you're working on, because I definitely want the community to know about that. But I think we're a little bit over, and I've got to go pick up my baby at some point. So we'll try for next time. But thank you all so much for making it another good session, and we'll see you next week.
See you, everybody.
Ciao.